My journey to Harriet started, I would say, when I was a senior in high school. And I first learned about her. I could not believe the courage that she had.
My journey to Harriet began as a little girl, hearing stories about how she made a decision not to be enslaved anymore and her right to be free. And as a Black woman growing up in America with parents from the South, I often heard stories when those opportunities were not always evident.
Harriet coming to Newburgh, the statue at first, I just thought it was powerful, and it sent a message, that she traveled far and near, and she did anything she could to achieve freedom. And that sent a powerful message to me as a Black woman, that there's nothing that we can't do. And as Black people, it just touched me in such an ancestral way.
The ability to have freedom to express yourself and be yourself, to live your truth and share your truth, share your story and share your legacy. So all of these things, for me, it just ties into just how I want to live every day. I want to be honest and be truthful and be myself and not be judged for it.
The arrival of Harriet Tubman is a source of inspiration beyond Newburgh, beyond Orange County. The ceremony was authentic and community-driven, and so I think that the programming that will continue beyond the Harriet Tubman sculpture, I think that will be very impactful on our community.
So good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Lou Carolyn, proudly representing the Newburgh Free Library. So excited to have you all here.
Well, it was September of 2019, and I was on Facebook scrolling through all these interesting stories, and I happened upon a photograph of Wesley Wofford sculpting or finishing the sculpture of Harriet Tubman. And it just drew me right in. And I remember opening up the picture and really looking closely at it, at this beautiful face, at this strength and determination. And it called to me. I just felt that I needed to see her in the city of Newburgh. And I immediately put a comment in there to Odyssey, Wesley Wofford's wife. I just made some general inquiries, and I got a call back that she was going to travel. And I said, how about she comes to the city of Newburgh and is in front of the Newburgh Free Library.
The timing is very serendipitous, so it feels like, as if I back up and look at this just outside of me and knowing the timeline of how this worked, it landed at a very opportunistic time for this conversation. But that was really just serendipitous. It wasn't orchestrated at all. It was really, I started the original commission, so it took 18 months to generate the work. And that was like 2.5 years ago. It was pre-COVID-19. I think it's well timed to have this conversation, specifically with statuary and public squares and sort of that reassessment of who are we as a population and what values are being reflected in our public statues. I think that she lands with a loud voice and a loud message about who we should be talking to.
There's definitely an internal dialogue that is the only way it really comes out for me is through visual artwork. We're kind of all contained in our own person. and sharing that comes out in different forms for everyone. And
So Newburgh and many other communities in Orange County are facing this same exact challenge. And I think there's an awareness happening now that is very exciting and encouraging. What we have done through the Arts Outreach Committee, which is comprised of over 40 leaders throughout Orange County, representing all different communities, not just geographic, but cultural backgrounds. Everyone's invited to come to the table. And we had a conversation about this issue and how some leading organizations or leading artists are not truly representative of their communities.
The street is the most democratic place, and that's why public art is important, because it is an inherent giving to the public, to the people, to be. And that is one sense of cultural liberation that we can all co-create together.
It helps shows activism in the community, and I think that's very powerful, especially with the youth. I think it will encourage them to do the same and follow our footsteps.
The way that the community came together on this project and the diverse amount of people that were interested in working with this project is really uplifting, and I think shows that communities can come together for a specific purpose and a goal in mind and achieve those goals.
And that's what I'm looking forward to into the future with Newburgh. I think there's a lot of potential, a lot of great artists in Newburgh, and that brings me a lot of joy into my life.
Do not abandon the idea of common ground, for our children are seeing, our children are listening, our children are reacting.
I was a stranger in a strange land all by myself. Is this what freedom feels like? Is this what freedom tastes like while my family is back on that plantation, tasting the sour fruits of masses' meal? Is this what freedom's supposed to feel like?
And though we have traveled far together to get where we are today, we have a long journey to go to further principles of liberation, legacy, and truth in our greater global community and justice for all.
When all of these other issues started to come up, the murder of George Floyd, and then everything that followed after that, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, every moment it seemed like there was another issue that was coming up. And as our committee would meet, we would have these discussions. And we started to think it was almost like this, it was symbolic that bringing Harriet Tubman here was this symbol of hope and the symbol of power and this representation of African American courage and resilience. And we just thought, well, how wonderful it was that we were bringing this strong woman, this strong African American woman, onto the grounds of the Newburgh Library, open for everyone in the community to see and to be in her presence and to feel her history, her legacy, at a time when there was so much chaos and so much blatant discrimination and racial injustice. We were, in our small city of Newburgh, bringing this iconic American historical person, this woman, to the library grounds and to be enjoyed by everyone, to stand in her presence and to feel power, to feel history, to feel place and presence. Became increasingly more important every month that we would meet, leading up to just yesterday when she arrived. And I think that was the culmination of everything we had hoped would happen. And to have the community rise up in joy and celebration and acknowledgement of the contribution of African Americans to the national story.
My personal journey has been coming up through civil rights, Black Power movement, the uprest here in the city of Newburgh, urban renewal, the displacement of Black people, moving from segregation to integration. I came through a segregated school district. I came through Newburgh, New York with really, really great childhood. And so when people talk about Newburgh's Renaissance, I kind of go full circle in that journey, and I'm like, but we've always been here. We've always had a strong community of color here. But the socio-political economic realm has changed. It's definitely not the same. I don't know what it is to be enslaved, but I do know what it is for people to be to not be given their full opportunity and their full potential.
The story hasn't changed as much as you think. It's just all coming out now, and it's a moment to really reflect on that. There's a lot of work to be done.
So I think the important thing about good sculpture is that the artist doesn't get to decide the messaging that people draw from the piece. I don't want to tell them how to feel, because I think it needs to speak to them in a way that I can't relate to their experience. I can only relate to my own. And I think that speaks to my whiteness. I can't, there's a lot of things, I can empathize with what Harriet was going through. I mean, for me, I feel like I'm just a filter that is sort of irrelevant to the messaging. I'm just trying to amplify her life.
I can do anything I feel I want to accomplish. She went back 19 times to save the people she loved and other people that she didn't even know. So that lets me know that even though your journey might not be what you think it's going to be, you still have to know that it's going to take you different places. And the sculpture is just representing that for me.
When people talk about there's nothing to do in the city of Newburgh, I often think they're not looking at the same city. At the same time, there is something to it. So what I'm going to do is ask you to please, after you leave from this event, please tell them about the Harriet Tubman statue that's here. Please tell them about some of the other things that you're involved in, because perhaps there's just a disconnect with the communication, and that happens. So please spread the word about all of the wonderful things that are happening. And Harriet Tubman really represents the city of Newburgh, despite the challenges, despite the emotional things that she went through, the physical things that she went through. And that's how it is in the city of Newburgh. Despite our challenges, physically, emotionally, financially, socially, we still press on.
I have the privilege of being able to work right there. So as I have my friend and colleague across the street, I also get to look out the window and see this prominent piece of art since the moment it got installed. So I'm joined today by so many community leaders, families who have a sole interest in improving this community.
I thought they sang all the right songs. The dancing was beautiful. I just thought that I was so glad that Mary Lou had caught her eye when she was on the internet one day. When she approached us about working on the committee, I said, yeah, I want to work on it. It was wonderful. I thought it was a great idea because, you don't hear too much good stuff about Newburgh. That was a good thing yesterday.
No matter what oppression she faced, she was able to rise up. No matter how many times people tried to knock her down, she would rise up. She even told the people that she helped free, if you hear dogs, run. Keep going. Don't just fall down.
I mean, the resiliency and the courage, and to not allow any one or any entity claim who you are. That narrative tends to make one group of people look less than another group. And that's just not the way it is. And it's never been that way here in the city of Newburgh, particularly for people of color.
Our lives are more than us. And God, we thank you. Renew our mind, hearts, and souls. In Yeshua's mighty name. Amen.
We all are the wind. We must listen to the calls and move with everything in us.
Bring warmth into our hearts so we are open to spread compassion, truth, and love amongst our community.
We are one. I call in your courage to continue your journey. And when you drop your ribbon, know that I, your sisters and brothers, are with you to help you carry on. Healing. Healing is a process. And Harriet's journey was also a process. Yesterday's gathering was a process of many meetings, many discussions. We're here to help each other, to pick up the pieces, to carry each other through. And I could only imagine during that time how many people fell as they were running toward their freedom, and her encouraging those people to get up. And I heard from Harriet, she says, Newburgh, it's time to get up.
Walk with me. Sing, walk with me.
Walk with me, Lord.
Walk with me.
Walk with me.
Yeah.
While I'm on this
Pilgrim journey.
pilgrim journey.
I want Jesus.
I want Jesus to walk with me.
Sing, hold my hand, Lord.
Hold my hand, Lord.
Walk
with me.
Sing, hold my hand.
Hold my hand, Lord.
I need you to
Hold my hand.
While I'm on this pilgrim.
While I'm on this tedious journey. I want Jesus.
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 I want Jesus to walk with me.
Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. And I thought about this. Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. God's gonna trouble the water.